Welcome to the Gibberpish Podcast.
So Dom may have cheated on his exams, but we're here to talk Gibberpish, aren't we, Dom?
And I do it again. I tells you I'll do it again.
You gotta do what you gotta do. So, this is our first podcast back in like a month. And it was to let you work your way through your exams, because, making you record nonsense as well as actually study for a profession would be kind of cruel, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. I think I could have done it, though, because I hit this awkward wall when I was studying, when I thought, it's open book. I can just have my notes there. I had my laptop sitting there open with all the slideshows and shit that I could just, scroll through and get the answer. I kind of just hit that point where, like, do I need to revise, or do I just need to put tabs in books and have the book next to me?
Yeah, you tried to explain the procedure you would have to go through for the exams, and I was like, it doesn't really feel like an exam, because they can't bring you in to do the exam in person.
Yeah.
So the result is you guys all do it online, and you can basically talk to each other. You can like look at all your reference notes. You can look at all your materials.
Yeah. Literally, I had a stack of books and my laptop open. If I really wanted to go the whole hog, I could have had my brother sitting on another laptop just going, Google this act, if I really wanted to take it that far. But nah, it didn't feel like an exam. It definitely felt less of a memory test, more of a just how much can you get down in 4 hours.
Which, is not a bad idea, because how different are exams to like the real life application of whatever you're learning? It doesn't have to be about law. This could just be about anything. I really think the exams kind of fail.
I personally fucking hate exams. Not because it's a 2.5 hour stress-filled window where you just need to recall a case from 1823, or you need to recall a medical procedure that was first thought up in the early 1900s. But it's just, when you go into the medical profession, when you go into the legal profession, you go into any other kind of profession that requires expertise, you're going to have notes. You're going to have references. Doing an exam that's just 2.5 hours of you trying to recall shit, nah.
Yeah. No one's going to actually require you to stand on the square in the middle of the room and recite the entire UK Data Protection Act from memory. There's no real application for that knowledge.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been trying to change for the past 2 years. Like, even to the point where I've been part of the student council and stuff at university, and I've said that the exams don't work. You're never going to be able to recite case and legislation off the top of your head unless you are obsessive. But most people have other shit to do. Like, even the Lord Advocate himself probably enjoys a drink every now and again. Like, he's not going to focus solely on the law.
Yeah, that's if anime has taught me anything, it's that the student council is the most powerful force in the universe. But I don't know.
Yeah, in anime, the student council sucks dick in real life.
It's the weirdest meme or weird trope that appears on TV shows, is that student councils actually fucking matter. I have no idea who gave them this idea, but it needs to kind of fucking go away.
Oh, dude, it's hilarious, because there are some people in the student council that have watched those TV shows and assume that the student council president, the student council vice president, or what they call it, the Edinburgh Napier Society Association president, they think they have the real authority in the university. But then the dean or the vice dean just steps in and goes, settle down. You're a figurehead. You're something for the students to rally behind. Sit the hell down.
There are grown-ups in the room. We will be taking all of the important decisions. You can pick which banner to make for the upcoming, I don't know. Do you guys still do, before coronavirus, did you guys do proms and stuff, or dances? Or student events of any kind?
There was a lot of student events, but quite a lot of them got cancelled. This was before C-Virus. This was because there was a few societies that abused their budget, so they had their end-of-year ball cancelled, or they had their events cancelled. There's the tech ball, which all the kind of engineer students have their one big to-do. There's the law ball, which for the law students, and there's the med ball, the eye ball for the optometrists and the medical students. Really, personal favourite one out of all of them is the eyeball for the optometrists.
Eyeball, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've never been to a single one. I didn't even go to prom in high school because I was given the choice. I could go to my high school prom and be bored for 3 hours and get 1.5 bottles of beer, or I could go to Download and drink all the beer I wanted and go see cool bands.
Yeah, that one was. I remember that happening. You just like going, I'm not going to prom. I'm going to download them. Like shit, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
Should have taken that one.
Because I remember in our high school, you could only go to prom if you had if you had your points all in check. If you did good throughout the year, didn't get any penalty points or any referrals to the principal's office, to the rector's office. And like I never had any of that crap. So I just said to someone who doesn't want to, or someone who doesn't have the points to go to prom, can just use my name and go to prom. So it's someone else pretended to be me for a night. I'm sure it was a great experience for them.
Fifth year prom was actually not that bad. I quite enjoyed it because we did a ceilidh. So we had basically a giant ceilidh dance where everybody's all like suited and booted. Most of the lads are wearing kilts to look fancy. So it actually was pretty cool. It wasn't great, but still, I mean,
high school prom, it always seemed like it could have been a cool thing because it's traditional Scottish ceilidh, and despite being heavier set, I do enjoy a good old ceilidh. But it couldn't compare to download. Like
nothing does.
I was getting blitzed in a field in 22-degree heats before some of the best bands I've ever seen.
I don't regret going to the fifth year one. The sixth year one was just a fucking waste of time because it was all disco music, and I was like, I just wasted an evening of my life. I'm never getting this back. I could have stayed home and had a much better time just drinking. Because I think our 6th year prom was the day after my 18th birthday. And I forgot my ID. I couldn't drink. I legally could have, but couldn't. Because I didn't have ID on me. Absolutely devastated. Total fucking waste of an evening.
So I always thought even if I forgot my ID back in the day, I still would have been able to get the drink. Because I was always that guy. Always the guy that looked older than he actually was. And the grey hair had set in, I'd already had like a tiny chin strap beard growing in, so I already looked in that kind of awkward mid-20s stage. So I was always the guy that was, Dom, go and get us a pint, or Dom, go and get us beer.
See, I wonder if that still works now, because we're all, like, we've all been that kid. Like, we've all been that person who's just a little bit, they look a bit older, so they pass for the ID check. But now those people who did that are now working in the shops. I wonder if they call out more people for cards, like, obviously pre-coronavirus. I actually found out that like the local shops are not IDing for energy drink just now. So like I went and got like cans of Monster. I was like, wait, you guys aren't going to card it? Like the system doesn't even stop you anymore, just to reduce the number of interactions. So it lowers the risk of infection for the shop workers.
I mean, it makes sense. The ID for energy drinks was always a good thing, but it was slightly annoying. Because you just go and you think you get a quick tin of Monster. Then next thing you know, you're having to pull out your ID, and then apparently you don't look enough like you in your ID, so you have to wait for them to check it and shit like that.
Yeah.
Just a nightmare.
One of those great SNP ideas.
Yeah.
Cheers, Sturgeon. I mean, I appreciate all the work that you're doing, but at the same time, could you just fucking not be the grandma?
Yeah. I will stay in defence of Sturgeon. She's doing quite a lot of good for the country. It's just this one. Like, if you get that sorted, you're fine.
Yeah.
But the energy drink thing was annoying.
That's one thing that's really weird about the whole coronavirus lockdown right now is England has decided to go back to work in some cases.
Like, Boris Johnson's speech on the whole thing was fucking hilarious because it was basically go home, but stay home. Like, stay home, but go to work. But don't go to work, but go to work. But stay home, but don't drive. Don't use public transport, but use public transport. Put it in the oven and set the gas Mark 5 and cook for 20 miles an hour. It was like
cook for 20 miles an hour. That's fucking perfect. That is exactly the tone of that speech.
It was the most nonsensical, just conglomeration of nonsense words like add a banana to your pillow, then sleep for 35 minutes. By the time you wake up, you'll be a golden rooster and you will lead the people into the new revolution. Like, what the hell was that? How was that a plan to stop coronavirus?
I wonder if he had some kind of like stammer that he was trying to just talk over, or had some kind of weird just mental break, where not like a breakdown, but just a point where he decided I can't use real sentences anymore, and just proceeded to force words out of his face.
Maybe he has an upper class English form of Tourette's. Instead of swearing and those kind of abusive words, he just says like things like parsnip and rub it on your toes, and that somehow makes a sentence.
Yeah, I watched his delivery of it, and then immediately found, I think it was Matt Lucas from Little Britain, his version of it, where it's just him rambling random sentences together. I'm like, I honestly think yours might make more sense than Boris's, and you're a comedian trying to take the piss.
Just talking about Boris Johnson, because we should get the unpleasant shit out of the way first. You see that Miriam Margoyles got in trouble for saying that she wanted Boris Johnson to die, but then realised that was a horrible thought and said immediately that she wanted him to get better. Then, of course, Twitter being the nice place that is, just decided to fucking rain down on her.
She is a 90-something woman. I think I'm right in saying that. She's about 80s, 90s. She is also a retired actress who just says whatever she thinks because, again, she's an 80-something-year-old woman. I don't give a shit. If she's going to mouth off, she's at least mouthing off at the right person, if that makes sense. I don't mind her spouting off at the hip.
Yeah, she just seems like the older person that just can't be arsed with this whole... like this. She's 78.
78, okay, not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, you were in the right ballpark. I think she's just the kind of person that's done with this whole tiptoeing around thing. She's like, fuck it, I'm going to say what I think.
I'm going to just out my own family right now. I've found out that my own mother is now on the side of, look, I'm all for the lockdown, but I need a haircut. I'm like, holy fuck. My brother got it in the ear at one point. I think it was just a couple of nights ago where she just said out of nowhere, yeah, I really, I think it's time for us to kind of open back up a little bit because life, it just isn't normal anymore. And you're like, you understand what's going on here, right? Like,
yeah, there's kind of a pretty low mortality or pretty high mortality rate of a disease kicking about. We need to deal with that.
I wouldn't mind so much, but both my parents are in their 50s. They're reasonably fit, but again, still, the age is going to be a bit of an issue. I'm like, all it takes is one little underlying health problem, and I don't know what everyone's current status is, but I don't think, I think people are just getting to the point of saying, come on guys, the cost will be fine. We need to start reaping some benefits here. And I'm like, we are going to be absolutely fucking slaughtered in the second wave of this thing, because I feel it's coming. I think the English opening back up again is going to start a second wave of coronavirus in the UK.
I said this for the very beginning. We were going to go into lockdown. We were going to stay safe. And the minute that those dealing with the country's economics and people dealing with the country's finances and the country itself, the government, are going to see that it's dipped down below a certain level and go, it's safe to go back out, and then those numbers are going to skyrocket again. And then we're going to have that second wave where more and more people who thought it was safe to go back out are going to get infected, and then that's going to just create another wave, and it's going to keep permeating on and on. So I'd rather just stay inside for a bit longer, deal with the fact that my hair now resembles Jim Halpert from season 1 of The Office. I'm just going to have to deal with that for a bit longer and just suck it up.
Yeah,
my hair has now went completely grey because of how long it is getting. There's not a single blade of black hair on my head.
I cannot wait to see this. This is that might now be my new reason for lifting quarantine. Guys, we need to see Dom's hair now. This is getting ridiculous. I want to see what's up.
I think if I get it cut, it's just going to compound the grey, so my hair's going to be completely silvery grey now. And I'm okay with it.
I'm growing out the quarantine beard. I'm not going to lie. I just the fact that everyone is gradually lowering their standards of acceptable, physical behaviour or physical appearance, means that I've got the confidence needed to let the beard grow out. It's actually quite enjoyable because it's getting quite decent size at this point. It's bulking out, and I kind of appreciate it.
I'm just letting my beard grow as it is, letting it grow au naturel, as the French say. But I need to constantly trim the neck beard.
Oh yeah, you can't have the neck beard. There needs to be a solid line.
Yeah, there needs to be an acceptable line, but I'm afraid it will join my chest hair, and I'll just have some kind of big tunic of hair that starts from my chin and descends down to my waist.
You got a blacksmith's apron of beard hair.
Yeah, it is bad.
Who was there was one other thing as well. We so due to the lockdown, there's all these weird protests happening. You've probably seen them in America. The UK versions have started up as well. I think it was last week, maybe even a bit before then. But we obviously have had our own protests and stuff over here. But then there was the celebration of VE Day, Victory in Europe, which was...
Oh, that shit pissed me off fucking severely. 2 meters apart doesn't mean have a 2 meter apart fucking conga line.
Yeah, the
2 meter apart means that if you have to go out, stay 2 meters apart. The conga line, I'm mad. That fucking pissed me off.
Part of the celebrations originally for VE Day was the street parties. in the UK.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, let's bring back that VE Day spirit. And you're like, no, bring back the Dunkirk spirit. Do your fucking duty by your country. Stay the fuck home.
Stay the hell home.
And as Dom mentioned, if you haven't seen a clip of the 2-meter conga line, holy fucking shit. It is the dumbest thing. As Dom said, it makes you so angry that people are like, don't worry guys, we found a socially acceptable way to social distance and party at the same time. I want to throw every one of you into a fucking wood chipper feet first. Jesus Christ.
I loved all the things on Twitter that were, or Twitter and Facebook and stuff. It's just, they posted the video and it was just, how do we solve this? And I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil 3. I'm just saying, let Nemesis loose on them. Like, just start rocket launching people in the street. Like, you wanted the conga line, we'll conga this, bitch. Hit them with a rocket launcher.
It was baffling, and it's a real slap in the face to the people who are actually putting their lives on the line, like NHS workers, people who are out like working in shops, people driving trucks everywhere, people making the country run in this limited capacity that we can do right now, only to then have them just decide, fuck it, we'll throw a party anyway. I wonder what the infection rate has been around that area, in the places where people are doing the celebration. And every time we have these developments, like every time a big news story basically develops around coronavirus, the Scottish argument for independence becomes a lot clearer.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. I think a lot of people are having that conversation either with themselves or with others when it's come to this. It's the argument for independence is now becoming a lot easier to hear. Before, a lot of people were just going, "Nah, let's not do this." But I think a lot of people will be changing their vote now.
Yeah, I think we're now realising we are two entirely separate cultures, more so than ever before. So that's why, Scotland's still locking down. And you've had so many occasions where, in America, the governors are defying Trump, or they're like contradicting or correcting his information as it comes out to apply it to their states. And we now have Sturgeon doing the same thing here in the UK, where on the day of Boris's new kind of shift of the phase into phase 2 or whatever it is, where he changed the slogan for the UK from stay inside, save lives, save the NHS, it became that weird stay alert, be cautious, back to work slogan or whatever the fuck he's got now.
I thought it was stay alert, stay alert, keep distance, control the virus or some crap like that. Because again, everyone's just been memeing the shit out of this.
Yeah.
My favourite one was you put your left leg in, you put your left leg out, you do the hokey and you turn it all about.
I've got it here. It's stay alert, control the virus, save lives. Yeah, Boris, mate, you're about to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be real fucking bad.
So yeah,
I like that Nicola Sturgeon's response to this was, "We in Scotland, we're going to stay indoors. I trust you people. Don't let me down."
Yeah, her conference is actually pretty funny because there's it's literally just her, and then the interpreter for the deaf is behind her. She signing away, and obviously they're doing social distancing, and her message is so clear: is we are not going back to work. Do not go to work on Monday. I will beat the fuck out of you if you go to work on Monday. Personally, myself. And the signers behind are like, I guess beat the fuck out of you can be translated to sign language. What the fuck? It is, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. But I think through all of this, the message is abundantly clear. Just stay inside. Only go out if you need to. Even if it's just... I don't know where I was going with that point. But yeah, stay the fucking inside.
It's weird that they were trying to capitalise on the whole World War II thing. And I don't know if it's just because it became a meme for a bit. But why did they not bring back the keep calm and carry on type thing? It's a weird, it's a missed opportunity for marketing, I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure that the government, or whoever originally owned the rights to that, doesn't own the rights to it anymore. And because it's now, the keep calm and carry on thing is now being co-opted by so many other different organisations that they just think, we can't bring this back for other reasons.
Very true. I think it's been,
the message stays the same.
Yeah, once it's on mugs and t-shirts and all that, it's pretty much gone.
Yeah. Why do you think no one talks about Che Guevara anymore? Because, Che Guevara sold more key rings and phone lanyards and berets
As
than
a
anything.
militant anti-capitalist, I wonder how he feels about that. I really do.
He's probably fucking raging. Like, he fought to bring down capitalist regimes, and now he has sold more merchandise than any band that you can think of.
Just the ghost of Che Guevara screaming in the heavens all night long. Just he will not stop.
Chain
screaming.
smoking Cuban after Cuban, just headbutting the wall.
These motherfuckers.
Everything I stood for, you assholes.
Actually, that's a good point. They have literally defied his personal will of being recognized for what he stood for. It's the same thing as like the V for Vendetta masks. Like those are like, we're supposed to be anti-establishment. They're made by Warner Brothers. Every time someone buys one of those, every time someone sees one of those and goes, "Oh, I should buy one," it's like £4 or £5 in their pocket.
Yeah, I almost bought one. I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah,
I just kind of thought, if Alan Moore, the guy who wrote, was it Alan Moore? Yeah, I think it was Alan Moore, well-known anarchist. When he wrote V for Vendetta, of course I could be wrong about this, but when he wrote V for Vendetta, I can imagine him just sitting thinking, I'm going to make this cool image that I hope to Christ isn't co-opted by, Anonymous or any other shitty little group in the future. If he's seen me wearing one of those masks, I think he'd just run up and punch me in the face. Like, that's not what it stands for.
it's part of the neckbeard uniform as well. I mean, if you're trying to avoid that lifestyle, you really need to avoid that mask as well.
Yeah. Although I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube about Cicada, that 3301. Like, that is just a lot of neckbeards just thinking, I'm going to be the smartest person on the planet. Oh, wait, how do I do this?
What's this? I've never heard of this before.
You never heard of Cicada? Cicada was this weird, like, almost alternate reality game thing, where it was, they released this image, and in the image was these little coded messages that you had to go and download external software, and you needed to solve this puzzle. Then once you solved that puzzle, you got another part of the puzzle, and it was more complicated coding and computer messages and stuff. And it's interesting to watch, but all the people that are talking about it are not people that you would trust to deal with this stuff. It's all the quote-unquote neckbeards that troll 4chan, because the guy literally found it through 4chan.
Right.
It's pretty interesting to watch, but yeah.
Given a little Google, and it's an ARG basically. Just hidden puzzles. Okay, right.
I think it could be, or would be classified as an ARG. But yeah, there's one part left of Cicada, their latest puzzle, that no one can crack because, I don't know, maybe they got bored and decided to go for ice cream or something.
At a certain point, it's like, this is not going to be worth it. This will never be worth my time. Fuck it.
I mean, I hope that's what they did, because it's clearly just somebody with a little bit too much time on their hands.
From the Wikipedia article, many have speculated that the puzzles are a recruitment tool for the NSA, CIA, MI6, a Masonic conspiracy, or a cyber mercenary group. So,
I want to believe that in my heart. I want to believe that this is really just a ploy by George W. Bush. He's just decided, I'm bored of shit, I'm going to put this out and see how many people realise it's all W.
He loves to paint. Maybe he's somehow found a way to translate that into some weird kind of cyber art that he's just distributing to the internet and just watching people freak out over it.
Maybe he's put coded messages into his paintings.
Maybe we're part of the message. Ever thought about that? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the newest round of Cicada 3301. It will
the
make
George
fuck all
Bush
sense.
Interactive Library. You ever stop to think, well, that's not too many books? What's more interactive? You need to find the messages.
The George Bush Interactive Library. Jesus Christ. Of all the presidents to not have books in their library, it makes the most sense.
Yeah. Like, it goes back to the Robin Williams bit. It was always funny watching Tony Blair and George W. Bush in the same room, because Tony Blair would give this eloquent speech about whatever the fuck he was talking about, and George W. Bush would always be looking at him just going, I can spell most of those words.
George Bush was probably the most, but like before Trump, was easily the most abused president of all time.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It was horrifying to like tune into like the news every day and be like, this is going to be a sketch on this Friday's like whatever show, like Dead Ringers. Did he appear on Dead Ringers? He must have.
Yeah, John Coleshaw got some money out of both Tony Blair and George W. Bush.
Oh yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, because he would appear on Mock the Week, and you just be waiting. You wait. Here comes the Bush lines. Here comes here comes this and that, and it was a while before you could take him seriously again. Like when like Colshaw like wasn't doing those impressions, it was like, are you actually funny, or you just got a really good version of Bush?
I think nowadays he kind of makes his money doing impressions of other actors for audiobooks. Because the last thing I seen John Colshaw in was him doing an impression of Tom Baker for a Doctor Who audiobook. It's a pretty good. It's a damn good impression, like almost 100% there. But to go from dead ringers that went on air every week and on radio every weekend to Doctor Who audiobooks, it's kind of a big fall.
Oh yeah, I forgot that he was like, they made Dead Ringers into audio as well.
Yeah, it started off as a radio show, I think. Then they just kept both going at the same time because it's popular as hell.
Yeah, it worked. It was one of those like classic British comedy things, and we've already mentioned them. But Little Britain tried to do a bit of a comeback during the coronavirus lockdown for, what was it, the big weekend or big comic
relief, I think.
Yeah,
wasn't it comic relief?
So they tried doing a bit of at home sketches based on their characters, but it didn't work. Didn't really enjoy it.
Wasn't it offensive, or people were offended by it?
Yeah, but then it's kind of one of those.
That doesn't really narrow down the content, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you've actually gone back to rewatch Little Britain, which we did, me and my brothers all went, oh yeah, I remember Little Britain, let's all give it a watch and try and cast back the memories, and then, oh shit, I forgot the show had actual blackface in it. Like, shit, wow.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite part of, if I could have a favourite part of lockdown, it would be the fact that I've been going back and rewatching a lot of things. Because like I said to you, I think the newest thing I've watched recently is Jojo Rabbit, which, fucking outstanding film. Loved the hell out of that. But we'll get into that later. But I've been rewatching Scrubs, which is still just a knockout show. Like I was watching an episode of the Scrubs where JD's dating a girl whose godfather is Billy D. Williams.
Yes, I remember that one.
And like when Turk starts freaking out because he's met Lando Calrissian, that still had me pissing myself laughing. This was a show made during the writer's strike of all things, and it's still funny.
Oh yeah, I remember that. How long was that writer's strike? It wasn't long, was it? It was only.
I think it may have lasted the last part of 2005 and a bit of 2006.
Yeah, it was like a 6 to 8 month period or something like that.
It wasn't long.
Yeah, that's right. I remember Jon Stewart on The Daily Show actually kept his show going and got absolutely fucking slammed for it by Seth MacFarlane, who was making Family Guy at the time. And he just said, I can't believe you're like breaking the picket line. You're a fucking scrub. Like, you're done in this town. And obviously, you can't just like cancel Jon Stewart. That's not a thing that you can do. No one has that power level. So, like, both those guys, like, it was a weird thing that, like, two of my favourite comedy icons have, or had for a long while, a seething hatred for each other.
Almost always need to stop and think, right, John Oliver, English comedian that was Zazu. Jon Stewart, not the Green Lantern, but the American comedian.
Yes. And weirdly enough, both worked on The Daily Show.
Oh yeah, so they did.
Yeah, John Oliver got his big break on The Daily Show. He was around in the UK for a while. But like one of his recurring jokes as an American comic is that no one in the UK actually likes him or knows who he is.
Yeah, he wasn't the greatest on Mock the Week, because I think that's where quite a few comedians get their armour, so to speak. Like I say, by getting your armour, it means like you build up a bit of confidence, you do some topical humour on Mock the Week, then you go out and do gigs and shit. John Oliver never really got that. He had some good one-liners, he had some good jokes in there, but more often than not, he would get kind of crushed by all the other comedians in the room. But you're going up against comedians like Frankie Boyle at the height of his power.
Yeah.
So you were never really going to beat that.
Like, to put that into comparison for those who don't know UK comedy, imagine just like trying to get your first like big break in boxing, and the person you throw you against is like just out of prison Mike Tyson. Like, you're the one who's going to break him into boxing again after prison. He is coming to fuck your shit.
Yeah. Although, speaking of Mike Tyson, I see that the fight between him and former All Black centre Sonny Bill Williams has been cancelled.
Okay.
And all I can say is good for Sonny Bill Williams, because he was going to get destroyed. Like, $1 million would be easily spent on you getting your face reconstructed after Tyson tore you apart.
Yeah, the footage of Tyson like doing some training, like doing some quick sparring and working against pads and stuff. Jesus Christ, that has not left his body.
Yeah.
And we talked about it.
That's someone who has regretted retiring from boxing. He'll probably start coaching very soon.
I don't know. I mean, if you listen to his stuff, I don't know if you listen to his podcast, Hot Boxing with Mike.
I tried to listen to the podcast with him and Eminem. I couldn't understand him. I was like, I can't do this.
His appearance on Joe Rogan was kind of like, oh right, you still sound that way. I was kind of hoping you'd work your way around that, but okay. So he makes for an interesting choice of podcast host, but
yeah,
it's a weird thing that
everyone's doing a podcast right now. So
yeah. Be a bit hypocritical of us to really call somebody out for that one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not calling him out. It's just like it was a natural thing. He's probably got some stories to tell. So
the problem is that everyone who walks into that set immediately has to suck his dick because it's Mike fucking Tyson. But it makes that first
he
half,
will bite your ear off.
Like it's just weird that you have to listen to someone explain how great Mike Tyson is. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm listening to his show. Like I love and respect him a lot as well. But I don't need to hear about how like your mind is just blank as soon as you walk in the room with a guy. Like he needs to be able to interview people and have those conversations without that taking up the first third of the show, because it gets weird and repetitive.
If I ever did an interview with Mike Tyson, my first thing that I'd talk to him about, doesn't he breed pigeons, racing pigeons?
Yeah, something like that. I have heard.
Yeah, I'd rate, or chickens, like he has chickens or something. I'd talk to him about his farming or his love of birds.
How about his massive fucking weed farm? I'd be raising questions about that. Like he's, I think they actually record their podcast in because it's kind of like a weed spa as far as I'm aware. Like that's what he's running. It's just this weird. It's not just like a farm. It's like a retreat for people who want to enjoy the use of marijuana, and he is just having this weird spa location that he puts in the middle of it all. So it's about the relaxation therapy as well as smoking an insane amount of weed. And I think they record some of the podcasts from that location.
I mean, recording a podcast with a high Mike Tyson must be an experience. Even if he's not high, that's still going to be something you're going to remember for a long time. But imagine if he's blitzed out his skull. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I actually have been watching, it talked about like people who retire and stuff. I've been watching The Last Dance on Netflix.
Yeah, that's the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's like made by ESPN in the US. So I think it's actually made with the NBA as well. And it turns out that the Bulls themselves had like a bunch of people following them and filming them during the 90s, because obviously you realize you're playing on one of the greatest teams of all time. Yeah, and they just had a lot of film footage and have guys coming in for interviews. Like they have Michael Jordan there, they have Scottie Pippen shows up. All of the like other Bulls that are around are still alive. They're all in the series giving interviews. It's really interesting. Like Dennis Rodman's stuff is really weird. He's such a weird character, but I always just assumed he was just weird for the sake of it. And you realise that he had probably one of the worst upbringings of all time, and then he just happens to make it onto the basketball court, makes it onto like national teams, makes it onto like a college team, and then progresses into the biggest team in the NBA history. You know, if he's acting a little weird, it's because he's fucking earned it, you know.
All I know of Dennis Rodman is that he was in a lot of weird movies with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that he was the basis for a Tekken character. That is it. That's all I know of Dennis Rodman.
I always knew him as that guy who's wearing weird clothes and who was dating Madonna at one point. Who's the? Oh, I think he also dated Carmen Electra at one point. Like Madonna let the freak side of him out, and then he just became this weird like walking art piece for a long while. But like the interviews they have with him are hilarious because he's still I enjoyed all that stuff. It was all just part of being me. Like it was all honest. It was all art. It was a great way of expressing myself. But then I'd go in the gym and just beat the fuck out of everyone. Like he was training so hard. Like he disappeared for 72 hours into Vegas. I was like, look, I need to go blow off some steam. I'll be there for the weekend, and then I'll come back on Monday morning and I'll start training again. The guy goes away, overstays like his initial weekend by another 72 hours, and then comes back on like the Thursday, clearly hungover, but still beats the entire team in physical training. He's a machine in a weird way, but he needed to break a little bit.
Yeah, I think it kind of it gets folded into the whole prolific athlete thing. You get to a certain point when you're in a team like the early '90s Chicago Bulls, where you're doing so much shit to earn the level of fame and stardom that you've got, that you just need to blow off steam, and usually blow off steam in a big bad way.
Yeah, and I think it's a good documentary for everyone to watch. Like, you don't need to know a lot of basketball. They'll take you through all the moments. There's not a lot. Maybe we played in high school, but obviously we're not good. We just happened to play it. So, I mean, the amount that we played, you could understand everything that's being talked about. This isn't about basketball, it's about the team. And it's about the kind of camaraderie and stuff. And it's interesting. It's really good that they got all these people while they're still alive to talk about it and to be honest about it, because it is brutal at some points. It's weird that Michael Jordan, I think, kind of hates who he was back then. Like the same way Mike Tyson, when he was interviewed by Joe Rogan, said, I don't like that guy who I was, the world champion, scared the shit out of me. I think it's kind of the same thing for Michael Jordan as well.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be.
I mean, he's
that amount of money and that amount of fame is inevitably going to have a toll on someone.
Yeah, and the fact that, like, he admits, I was an asshole during training. Like, you can see him yelling at people on, like, just on training, like, in regular practice during the season. He just wants the best out of everyone, and he was willing to be the bad guy to get it because his goal was championships. His goal was victory, and he just goes after his own guys. It's unreal. But actually, a good thing you pointed out was he was so famous during, like, I think it was the '92 Olympics, and after that, like, he became the most famous person in the world for sports, and was recognizable in every place on the planet. And he said, I can't go anywhere anymore. That same way that, like, Tom Cruise probably can't go anywhere. Like, you're immediately just mobbed by people and reporters who want to shake your hand and just want to see you, just want to meet you, just want to talk about how nice it is to finally meet you in person.
Why the hell you thought Space Jam would be a good movie?
You fucking watch it, alright? You're stepping on some big shoes there, alright? It's a fucking great movie. Academy Award deserving, frankly. Snubbed, if I may say so. And, like, there's footage of him in a hotel just hiding, just because he can't go outside anymore. He's just between games. It says, I come in, I go to my bed, I wake up in the morning, I go train, I go practice, and I immediately have to come straight back to the hotel room because I can't fucking go anywhere. And just the look of sadness on the guy's face at the age of, like, mid-20s as the king of the world in basketball. Just him stuck in a hotel room. Like, that guy's a caged lion. He should be out. He should be out having fun with his friends. Like, he has multiple millions of dollars at this point in his career. He should be out blowing that on Ferraris, just for the shits and giggles. And he's stuck in a fucking hotel room watching, like, cable news, just for something to do. It's weird.
I'll add onto the list, the ever-growing list of shit that I need to watch. The latest thing that got added onto that was The Mandalorian, all eight episodes. 8 episodes?
It's only 8 episodes?
8 episodes at like 45 minutes each or something. I think it's about an hour each episode. Something like that. I think I need to watch that. And I've still got a few other things I need to watch on Netflix. But like I said, I've been going back and rewatching some stuff. Like, I watched the 2 very, very good series that were on the BBC, and have since been copied very poorly by American broadcasters. I watched a series called Life on Mars and its follow-up series Ashes to Ashes. Did you ever hear about these when they first came out?
I think I remember Life on Mars. I don't remember Ashes to Ashes. I don't think I watched either of them, but I did remember hearing about Life on Mars. What's the premise of that one again?
The premise of it is a detective chief inspector in 2006 in London gets hit by a car, and that accident causes him to go back in time. Cheesy premise, but it leads to probably one of the greatest personal stories you'll ever see on TV. It's John Sim plays a character called Sam Tyler who gets hit by the car and gets sent back in time, and he meets up and he's back in 1967. He's back in the 60s. First series is set in the 60s. First series is set in the 70s. I've just been corrected. Second series is set in the 80s. So he wakes up in Manchester in the 70s, and he's been knocked down to the rank of detective inspector, and he's working under a guy called Detective Chief Inspector Gene Hunt, and he needs to work out why he's been sent back in time. What's the whole purpose for him being sent back in time? He needs to try and figure out what he needs to do in this world to wake up back in the real world. And like, it was one of those shows where it was funny. Like the character Gene Hunt is a kind of like an old style sheriff character. Like, it's his gaff. You need to live up to his expectations. You need to do what he says. And like, some of the humour that comes off the back of that is, it's all, as you could probably guess, like 70s kind of misogynistic type old style humour, but it's still a pretty good show. And how it ends is fucking great. And then that leads on into Ashes to Ashes, where you follow a psychoanalyst named Alex Drake, who's a detective inspector, who I think it's in the early 2010s, she gets shot in the head. That accident causes her to go back to 1980s London, where Gene Hunt and his group have moved from Manchester to London, and she needs to figure out what happened to Sam and also what happens to her, so that then she can go back. And then, but within that, she finds out this whole other, like, the whole other reason behind why people have been going to this particular other world, why Gene Hunt is the connecting factor between both of their shared experiences. It's a very, very good show. I highly recommend it to people.
See, I remember being very well hyped when it came out, but at the same time, I didn't actually see anything that interested me about it. But actually knowing now that when you finish it, it's worth watching, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's worth watching. A lot of people compare it to Doctor Who, which I think is slightly unfair, because Doctor Who is all about time travel, life on Mars, Ashes to Ashes. They're more about, like, there's a bit of science fiction in there, because, like, Sam and Alex, they'll get messages through their TV saying, like, because Sam's in a coma in a hospital bed, so his TV will say stuff like, "We're going to try some new medication, Sam," and there's an episode where they overdose him, and in the past, like, everything's shrieking, he's seeing, like, weird hallucinations and shit like that, but he needs to kind of weather the storm until the overdose passes and they can get him on some easier medication, and that affects him in the past. And they'll all get these kind of weird messages, like Alex keeps hallucinating that she's seeing a clown that has the face of her father, and then you find out why that is, and then it just keeps kind of snowballing, and there's more threads that start to pull out, and then when you get to the payoff at the end of the show, you're just thinking, holy shit, that was cool as hell. That's why they keep seeing flashbacks from their past. Like, when you figure out why they're here, why they go to this place, it all kind of ties up together.
Yeah, I wouldn't really compare that to Doctor Who. It's a very weird comparison, since the Doctor is in control of the situation compared to these characters, which seem to be the victim of some weird time travel mishap, or like just a journey back into their own minds, or into the London they envision in their heads, or whatever.
It presents itself as time travel, but what it actually is, I really, really liked. I thought that was a cool, like, twist on the whole thing.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. So that's where's that? Where can you get that if you're interested?
Netflix. Both series, Ashes to Ashes and Life on Mars, are on Netflix. It's one of those shows that's very quotable. Gene Hunt says a lot of things that you will quote again and again. Like in any Pathfinder or D&D game that I play, where I'm playing a character with rifles or pistols, I will always say, "Drop your weapons, you're surrounded by armed bastards."
Nice.
It's a great show. Highly recommend it. And I've also been rewatching The Mighty Bush, because that is my favourite TV show of all time. I don't care what anyone says. It is a weird show, but I like it. And purely because Edgar Wright was doing a rewatch party, I rewatched his TV show Spaced. And that's just another one of those weird Channel 4 shows that just, like, was brilliantly made back in the day, and you can just rewatch again and again every year, and it doesn't lose its luster, it doesn't lose its sheen.
Yeah, a lot of people who worked on that are very proud that they made that show. And that's
and
one
the,
thing.
and the cast themselves have went on to do massive things. Like Simon, it was one of the first projects Simon Pegg and Nick Frost worked on, and look where they are now.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't know if I'd say they're up there with the most iconic comedy UK duos, but they're in with a shot, really.
I'd probably say they're the most famous UK movie duo, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like, the first people you think of funny UK double acts, you think, or that made it in movies, because you think UK double acts, you probably go the two Ronnies or Morecambe and Wise, but you think of UK double acts in movies, you probably think Pegg and Frost.
Yeah, true. They had a really good dynamic and it works, and like Spaced is where that all starts. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear it still works out.
That's still a great show. Highly recommend it to anybody. And you also get random like cameo appearances from other big name British actors, like Bill Bailey's in a few episodes. He plays the owner of a comic book shop called Bilbo. It's pretty good in that.
I think I saw Spaced was on something recently. I'm trying to remember where I think I saw it.
If you follow Edgar Wright, he's been tweeting about it quite a lot because he's been doing like I said, the watch party.
No, I mean like it's on somewhere as like a streaming service. I think it might be somewhere like Amazon.
Yeah, it's probably on Prime, yeah. Because they put on Spaced and Black Books and a couple of other things.
I've got the urge to watch Blackadder again.
Oh, dude, that doesn't take much for me to rewatch Blackadder. So I was watching some clips of Rick Mail and Adrian Edmondson's TV show Bottom, which I'm a fucking huge fan of those two. So I watched them doing anything practically. But I watched some clips of that, and I just thought I kind of want to watch Blackadder Goes Forth for the scenes with Flashheart.
Yeah. It's weird that it took them so long to figure out that character was a massive draw in the show.
Oh yeah.
Whereas we watch it and we're immediately like, this is the weirdest, funniest guy on the entire show, and this is a show filled with weird, funny characters, but you have this like lightning bolt of raw energy come in. This like pure testosterone driven alpha male beyond alpha male who just comes in and takes over every scene he's in and is deliberately doing it. Like it's not like he accidentally just gives great performances. He walks into everything with the intention of saying, this is my scene, everyone is now under my control, suck it.
Yeah. That's what I always loved about Rick Mail. He was over the top. Like, he just chewed the scenery and everything that he was in. Like, I was talking to someone recently about Lord Flashheart, and like saying he was probably one of the greatest parts of Blackadder, and I said, you really need to go back and watch The Young Ones, where he played when Rick Mail played a character called Rick, who was an anarchist poet, and every time he's on the screen, he's just doing something to try and make sure that the screen's on him, like the camera's on him. He's just like shouting a bit, going like, "Hands up, who likes me? Everybody look at me," and all this shit.
What was he in? Was he not in Brass Eye? Or am I thinking of someone else?
You're thinking of something Morris. The guy that played Denham. No, the guy that played Denham in the IT Crowd. He was in Brass Eye. Something Morris. Chris Morris.
Yeah,
I think it's Chris Morris.
Yep.
Yeah, he was in Brass Eye. I don't think Rick Mail was in Brass Eye. Rick Mail was in a lot of shows.
There was a time
Was there?
in the early 2000s where Channel 4 was just developing the weirdest shit. Like, great shows, but at the same time, like, they were just swinging for the fences with everything they made.
Yeah, like Channel 4 and by extension Comedy Central, they just made some of the weirdest shit you could put out there. Like, Channel 4 just started making TV shows like Big Train with Simon Pegg and Kevin Nealon, and that was just weird little surreal sketch shows. Then you go over to Comedy Central, and I think they took a lot of actors from Channel 4, the guys like Noel Fielding and Gillian Barrett. They started making shows like Unnatural Acts, which was just more weird, random, surreal comedy. Then I talk about Channel 4 and their random TV shows. There was a TV show that I fucking love to death, but if I could explain it to someone, it would do it a disservice, because you just need to watch this by yourself. It's a TV show called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Oh, okay. Right. Please try and explain it, I dare you.
Ah, fuck. I'll tell you who's in it first. Matt Berry is in it. Richard Ayoade. The girl from Hot Fuzz. No, is it Hot Fuzz? She was in Hot Fuzz. But the one that was the supermarket tannoy announcer in Hot Fuzz, she plays a main character in it. And like Noel Fielding appears in one episode as a gorilla that's turning people into other gorillas through his urine. And it's just like, I can't describe this show because you just need to watch it. Like, no one will find it as funny as I do, but it's just a weird show, and I love it to death.
Episode guide, 6 episodes.
Yeah, they couldn't do more than 6 episodes. It got fucking weird.
It got weird. It got so weird in 6 episodes that they were like, done. We're out. Bye. It's got Graham Linehan.
And that was just the kind of weird shit Channel 4 did back in the day. They just thought, fuck it, let's give this thing 6 episodes and see what happens.
Yeah, it's got Graham Linehan and Stephen Merchant. That's the 2 other names that really stick out. There is other people there, but I don't really recognise whoever Matt Green is.
Yeah, like, there's a few names that you won't recognise, but you'll probably recognise their faces, maybe. But yeah,
And that was the interesting thing about the TV at that time as well, is a lot more cameos. Like a
Yeah.
lot more just kind of cross pollination and weird walk ons that you're like, wait, why is this person here?
it's like when you see Charles dance in what was that film? That horrible, was Dracula Untold?
Yeah, he's in Dracula Untold as the guy that infects.
Yeah, like
Dracula.
the primordial vampire or some
Yes.
shit like that. You're sitting thinking, what mortgage payment were you clearing with this movie? Like, why are you here?
I don't know. I think like if you look at him on, like, he's in some of the Underworld series as well. And
Really?
he appears in some of the later stuff, and it is, again, it's one of the things of, you had a payment due, didn't you? You
Yeah.
needed the work.
So I remember the Underworld series. The first one was good. The second one was just strange
They're all great in their own special way.
in their own little Lego way. But yeah, I remember going to see one of the last Underworld movies in the cinema. The one that was the prequel. It didn't have.
What's it called again? It's like a siege. They tried to do Helm's Deep with werewolves, and you're like, wait, this wouldn't work because they're fucking werewolves. I think
The
it's
one that had not quite Kate Beckinsale.
yeah. I think it might actually be War of the Lycans.
Rise of the Lycans?
Right? Maybe, I don't know.
Something of the Lycans. The taxing of the Lycans.
The
The
social
tax evasion of the
distancing-
Lycans.
social distancing of the Lycans. I know which one you're talking about, but yeah, he appears in some of those films. You're like, what are you doing? What are you here
Yeah,
for?
why are you here?
You're great.
It's like when you see Patrick Stewart in the Emoji movie, like, why the fuck are you here? You're a respected actor. And a knight, I might say.
But it's funny, guys, because now he's the poop emoji. Jesus
I think I made
Christ.
it through 15 minutes of that movie watching it with my niece, and I was like, I'm going to go and do something else. I'm going to go write a novel. Like, why am I wasting my life watching Patrick Stewart's voice come out of a poop emoji?
Honey, Uncle Dom loves you, but he's going to slap you if this keeps staying on the television. We need to watch something else, please.
Yeah.
Who is there's another one as well that Charles Dance does. He is very good at appearing in like end of year shows, and I'm pretty sure he does Big Fat Quiz of the Year. And it's,
Yeah, he reads the hokey celebrity autobiography.
he reads the worst autobiography of the year, and people have to guess what it is. And some of the things that man will say with a straight face is unreal.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you can tell that guy is just such a well-trained actor that he's just going to say, I'm going to say this ridiculous, weird autobiography about someone getting fake toes, or making their toes look bigger, and I'm going to say it with a straight face.
I was watching a YouTube documentary about, I think it was Leslie Nielsen, and like,
Oh, the Naked Gun guy.
yeah, his like all but basically his start in acting, his like his training as like a proper, really like talented, serious actor, and he was always going to be he was always going to be the leading man, but unfortunately Hollywood had like 1,000 leading men already, and just his shift into comedy, like the way he handles it so well, and just became a massive influence on, like, again, like delivering the most radical nonsense with the straightest face possible.
I remember reading something or seeing something similar that he was Leslie Nielsen was a trained actor. He always wanted to go for leading man roles. During auditions, he would say the lines that he was told to say, but the people that were auditioning him would always crack up. Like, he would say regular things, but his delivery would just have people rolling on the ground laughing. And from then he just thought, you know what, I'm going to steer into this. I'm going to do comedy, and then you get Police Squad and Naked Gun and things like that. Although apparently you're not allowed to watch Naked Gun anymore because it's got O.J. Simpson in it.
Yeah, they really went for that, because I'm pretty sure one of them is filmed after he gets acquitted. I'm really sure they did the first couple, like, oh, we're getting O.J. Simpson, the football megastar, in to do this role, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, here comes O.J. Simpson, that guy from that court case.
Yeah.
I mean, he's more
there's a
famous than he was before, but not for good reasons.
Yeah. I mean, there's a scene in Naked Gun 2, I think, where he takes out the pistol, then he attaches a stock and stuff on it, then he builds it out, and it's a fucking howitzer.
Yeah.
I assume if you put that scene in after he was acquitted, it takes on a sinister whole new meaning.
Yeah.
Like, he's just setting up a cannon to fire it at someone.
Leslie Nielsen was in something way at the start of his career, and it was like a precursor to a large number of sci-fi shows. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was, as I look at his IMDb page, it is huge.
Twilight Zone? Sounds like Twilight Zone sounds like something he would have been a part of.
Yeah, I think he's done a bit of that. He also worked with Alfred Hitchcock a little bit, just before he got out of it. Yeah, just before he got out of like the serious acting.
For comedy films like Scary Movie 2.
Yeah, like that was.
Who knew that's where his career would end up?
That's where like I found him. That's where I'm like I never actually sat and watched the classics until like years later. But at the same time, like you got to see him as the president in the Scary Movie films, and he was really, really fucking good. Because he was again, he was just doing his thing. And
I think in the first thing I seen Leslie Nielsen in was Airplane, because like my parents always showed me these kind of films because they knew, right, swearing's not that bad. It's just language. It's just words. You know when to speak the right words. But they'd show me films like Airplane, and seeing him deliver the words, I am being serious, and don't call me Shirley, with a complete deadpan face, that is the lesson in comedy. That's the only lesson in comedy you need to learn.
Yeah.
Just deliver shit with a straight face and you'll be funny as hell.
The man
I got to see all that crap when I was young. So.
The man has so many credits, it's actually kind of hard to find the one I'm talking about. But he was in something that basically redefined like science fiction. Like it was classic 50s science fiction. And I think it might be Starlight Theatre on there. I think that's it. But I'm pretty sure he was in Tales of Tomorrow, that's what it might have been. Yeah, he is. He's made a bunch of appearances on stuff, and like it was him and Gene Wilder. This guy just made the same kind of documentary of just going through their career, talking about their influences and like what he wanted to do. Like Gene Wilder's thing with like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he improvised, or he made that weird thing where Willy Wonka walks out the factory looking all dishevelled, or looking all like crippled and stuff, like walking on a cane, and then like jams it into the ground, and like then just kind of like does a front flip. And
just the forward roll then.
Yeah.
Popped up.
And like the director asked him like, why would you want to do this? This is so unnecessary. And he goes, because now you can't trust what Willy Wonka is going to tell you. You don't know what's real and what's fake, and that was going to be part of his shtick for the entire movie, was you would never be able to trust it. And you watch that movie again, you're like, fuck, that's good. That's really, really good. Well done. You know, just taking that and running with it for an entire movie.
Yeah. Like, God, I fucking love Gene Wilder. I could talk about, like, one of my favourite performances in any movie is Gene Wilder as Frankenstein from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I genuinely think you cannot get a better mad scientist character than Frankenstein. Yeah. Like, it's fucking perfect. Like, some of the lines he delivers with just a complete deadpan. Like, or in his interactions with Marty Feldman, when it's like, when he gives him the wrong brain, he says, what name was on that brain? Oh, Abby Normal. Not Hans Delbrook, the genius that I told you to get. Fucking brilliant. The
Leslie Nielsen thing, by the way, that like the classic sci-fi that he was in, Forbidden Planet.
He was in Forbidden Planet?
Yes, 1956, Forbidden Planet. Like,
Jesus.
Wow. And again, like, you want to talk about like 50s sci-fi, the costume design, the set design, everything in that, it looks unreal. It looks kind of like remember like when you used to get to a Bond movie and you get to the part where they'd break into the base, or they'd be in like this weird site, like I think it's Moonraker, where they have like a launch for a rocket, they're like a launch pad for a rocket built into a volcano or something like that, and like just the weird set design where it's clearly like nothing has actually been thought of. We just have weird cardboard boxes, spray painted metal, and we just have a bunch of weird flashing lights on them. It's that type of set design.
What's Moonraker, the James Bond movie where they have a laser fight in space?
Shit, I do not know my Bond as well as I think I do.
I remember there was a James Bond movie where they literally tried to keep up with Star Wars, because at the time Star Wars was huge. A New Hope had just dropped, so in an effort to try and capitalise on that, Bond goes to space with a weird little jetpack cardboard box helmet thing, and just has a laser fight with space Nazis or space Germans.
Yeah, it is Moonraker. Yep.
Probably space Russians. if I remember.
I think it might actually be fucking Space Russians. I really do.
God damn it, they beat Call of Duty to Space Russians by about 30 years.
What was the other one? Was there not one with there was one with a scuba fight. It was basically the same thing. With like people, like all you had to do to kill someone was like they're miles under the water. So all you had to do was just like pierce their swimsuit and their body would just break. I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure there's a harpoon fight or something like that at the bottom of the ocean. Oh my god, I'm googling that one as well.
James Bond was one of those films, or one like those film series where there always has to be some kind of fight in water. So, but the minute you said harpoon fight, I immediately went to that has to be some kind of Roger Moore movie, or Roger Moore James Bond movie where they had a harpoon fight.
Yep, that's in Thunderball, where they have an underwater
Roger
battle.
Moore?
I can't remember which one that is.
Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the James Bond movies. Like, I didn't really get into them much.
Ooh, it's Sean Connery in Thunderball. Oh boy, it's that good shit. It's that real premium cheese.
Back when Bond just said, all women deserve a little bit of a slap.
Some of the stuff, like, yes, at certain points I will complain about the way society is progressing, but then I look back at shit like that and I'm like, maybe they've got a point. Yeah. Maybe change isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
change is a good thing. Although we fear change.
We what?
We fear change.
We fear change. Change is, it's just scary. You're going to take something I know, something I'm comfortable with, and then all of a sudden just ramp it off to like some new weird idea.
No, it's just kind of what they're doing with I don't know if we spoke about this before, but what they're doing with X-Men. With one character, or the two new characters, Safe Space and Snowflake, which I thought was...
Yeah,
That is genuine.
I don't think we talked about this on the podcast. I do know I text you to say you need to look at this, I can't remember what it was called, like the new X-Men, or the new... I can't remember what the name of the team is, because it's a special team from like Marvel's history where they had the edgy characters in the 90s. Like this is the guys that brought about, I think,
New Warriors.
The New Warriors, yes, and the new Warriors are an interesting choice.
Yeah, and I kind of want to call out the writer of that new series. Like, I get that when you're writing comic books, particularly nowadays, you need to do something to make them stand out, and that's what this writer Vita Ayala is trying to do. And I commend her for that. But at the same time, if you're actively turning people away and you're proud of this fact, you're abusing your power. Because she posted a few tweets just going, I'm so powerful, I'm turning hardcore fans away. Like, don't be proud of that fact. Like, try and change things up to include everybody. Don't just include this little niche market that are probably not even interested in comic books.
That would be my question, is how many people who were attracted to the idea of a new Warriors with like more currently politically acceptable characters, how many of those people are actually going to put up the cash for like a recurring subscription, or are going to just go out and buy the bulk, like the collector's edition once it's all wrapped and done? Like, how many people will actually put the cash on the table for the product?
Yeah, not many. I think they'll just realise that, oh cool, I'm being represented in an X-Men comic or a Marvel comic, and go do whatever the hell they're going to do. But to actively be proud of turning subscribers away, nah, I ain't down with that. Plus,
and just so we can level some criticism at
characters called Safe Space and Snowflake. What the hell are you doing?
Just so
I don't care. Like, include more representation in comic books. That is a good thing. Keep doing that, but give them cool powers. God damn it!
Just so I can level some criticism at this show, or level it at the comic that isn't just why they made my stuff PC. Can they explain why someone's superpower was that they were hit with internet gas and they now just have access to the internet through their brain, I guess? Can someone write that down in a way that isn't completely brain damaged?
Yeah. They have all the powers of an internet-enabled smartphone.
I feel bad for there's a girl who is just called Backpack. And she's just a kid with a special backpack. And you're like,
if your name's Backpack, you're the Scrappy Doo of the group. No one wants you there. You're the kid that smells a bit funny, whose mum tells you to hang about with them because you don't have many friends.
I want Backpack to be the one that puts down whatever the new version of Thanos is, just to hear how they write that.
Marvel have already done that, because do you know who the character Squirrel Girl is?
Yeah, I've heard that she is the, like, arguably one of the most powerful characters in the entire universe from Marvel.
Yeah, she took down Galactus when no one else could.
But I don't know anything about it. I just know that she's, like, so powerful, you just need to know that she's powerful. She what, sorry?
No. Sorry, I have a fact checker here. She didn't take down Galactus, but I think she might have fought Galactus to Sansa or some shit like that. But she did beat Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is arguably one of the most powerful things in the Marvel Universe.
Which is weird because, like, when you look at how he's done in the films, he's just a weird guy with a mask. But that actually describes about 2/3 of Marvel's universe.
Yeah.
I found a YouTube video the other day, and it was put into the anime Discord that I'm on. But somebody posted this, like, a summary of all the fights in Infinity War, like, or just Marvel action scenes. And it is a 90-second edit of just various characters and fight scenes. It's so well edited, though. The flow of just momentum between different fight scenes. I forgot how, like, the Marvel films didn't look like they were pulling punches. Like, it doesn't look like stage punches in a way. Like, speaking of James Bond, they're probably one of the worst of it, where, like, you'll just see James swing a rifle butt at someone and that person will just fall back and go, oh, yeah. Like, they've been knocked out on the ground. Those Marvel scenes are totally different.
Yeah. Except the one thing I will point out is in the first Avengers movie, Black Widow, when she's strapped to the chair being interrogated by the Russian dudes, she flicks her head back as if to headbutt someone, and completely whiffs it and just throws her hair on the guy. Are you just trying to blind them with your ginger hair, or what the hell was happening here?
Like, Scarlett Johansson throws her hair all over me. I'm probably going to pass out from smelling it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not that creepy, but it's still Scarlett Johansson, so...
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with that one, but yeah, I agree with you. But,
yeah, we'd bust that nut, let's be honest. Let's be fair.
One of the things I actually really like looking for on YouTube is deliberate movie blunders. And you see them quite a lot, particularly in James Bond, because there's a scene in James Bond where someone is standing behind, I think it's one of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, where someone's standing behind him just sweeping, but the brush doesn't actually touch the floor. Like, he's just sweeping about a good meter off the floor, and you can see him as he's just sweeping up bits behind James Bond. Or there's a bit in The Dark Knight Rises where Batman and Catwoman are fighting on a roof, and some guy's clearly got his mark right, but then Anne Hathaway, who's playing Catwoman, is still fighting someone else. This guy just starts beating himself up, so he starts like moving about the place like he's being hit, then he just falls to the ground.
There's a lot of those, like, especially in big fight scenes, big crowd scenes. I'm trying to remember who one of the worst ones is. I know that there's if you look at the background of some of Game of Thrones fights, there's some horror shows in there.
Yeah.
One of the worst ones being when they go to Dorne, and it's Jaime and Bronn fighting against the sisters, and then, like, I think the camera's on Jaime as he's fighting one of them, and Bronn is in the background supposedly fighting two of the other ones, and he's just kind of waving his sword vaguely at them, and it's hilarious. You can just see it, you're like, oh my god, what are you people doing?
I remember reading that in I think it was in the Battle of the Bastards, apparently you can see a guy just wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. Like, he's just wading in there fighting with the rest of them.
That scene is so tight and so good. I'll let it slide. I'll be entirely honest.
Yeah, the Battle of the Bastards is pretty good. It might not be the Battle of the Bastards, but there's some big fight scene where apparently you can just see a guy wearing jeans and a shirt. Like, everyone else has got the full armour on. Maybe he just thought, fuck it, maybe I'll be green screened out, or they'll cover me in armour or something.
Or he might have just thought, wouldn't it be funny if I'm somehow in this fantasy series in jeans and t-shirt? I wonder if I can sneak into the edit. Because those are, like, edited so, like, the number of eyes that must have seen, well, he must have just glazed over him. Like, they must have just missed him somehow for him to make it through the final cut of a TV show.
Maybe that was the editor. He was like, fuck it, I'm gonna be in this.
He just snuck on and said, well, I'm here to, like, capture the tone of the day today, and just, like, kind of walked into the background and just jumped into the scene like, oh. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Or maybe he superimposed himself in. Just like during the edit, and it's like,
my
oh, you're
God.
going to see me today.
Imagine sitting there editing Game of Thrones and then like knowing that you have a file of yourself pretending to hit people with swords, ready to be just like chroma keyed into the background of Pegg.
I guess got a lot of time in his ass. Like, you're going to see Jim the editor. He's going to put himself into the scene.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna go find that now. I haven't. Did we have enough like closure on Game of Thrones as a series to go back and just enjoy a rewatch?
I stopped watching and enjoying it properly after season 5. I'm not gonna lie. When they killed off Jon Snow and brought him back, I was like,
I see
I'm
where this
done.
is going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the Jon show.
I watched it all the way to the
Done with
end. I'm not gonna lie, it was interesting. I understand it. Almost everyone's freak out. Like it was bad. Let's be honest. But yeah,
I planned on watching the last season. What was it, season 8?
yeah, season 8.
I planned on watching season 8, but within the after saving myself, because I had a friend who was giving me the episodes. He was downloading them in like 1080p, and he was going to shoot them across to me so I could watch it in full HD on my television. But I was going to wait till however many 8 episodes were out, and I was just going to watch them all in one. I might only been 6 episodes. Can't really remember. Was it 6 or 8 episodes?
Shit. I can't remember actually. It's totally blanking on me.
So however many episodes it was, I was just going to watch them all in a one. And then within the space of 15 minutes, someone spoiled the entire series for me. They just went, "Oh, dude, when Arya kills the Night King, that's going to be so cool." I was like, "What?
What did you just
Arya?
say?
What the fuck?" Then they're like, "Oh, dude, what's even worse is at the end, Jon Snow just kills Daenerys." I'm like, "Dude, I've been not watching it for a month, waiting for this all to end so I can just watch it at my leisure, and you just ruined it all within 10 minutes."
I gotta
What
say,
the fuck?
you did we not? I think we discussed this at one point. I'm pretty sure you explained that someone ruined the 2 biggest plot points of Game of Thrones, and was that not like a college thing?
It was at uni. It was literally, we'd finished an exam, and someone asked me, what your plans? I said, first things first, I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch Game of Thrones. I'm like, "Oh, dude, look out for this." I'm like, "What do you mean Arya kills the Night King?" That's
What are you?
Dude, biggest shock. Watch out for the Mountain versus the Hound. I'm like, "Oh, they fight as well?" So, "Oh, it's cool, they both die." I was like, "Come on, fuck." Then they topped this whole shit brownie off with, "Oh, and at the end, it's kind of disappointing. Jon just kills Daenerys, then he goes back to the Black. Was it the Black Guard?"
The Night's Watch, and there are 6 episodes of Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah. So, plan was to watch all 6 episodes. Then someone ruined 3 big plot points for me, and I was like, "Fuck off." I have no idea.
I'm looking into like the ratings as well, like just see what it's like. Winterfell, the first episode, 7.6. Night of 7 Kingdoms, 7.8. That's a pretty good one. The Long Night, which is the Siege of Winterfell, 7.5. I love that episode. I know a lot of people hated it, but I really enjoyed it. And then after that, Last of the Starks, 5.
It was very dark. You couldn't really see what was going on.
Yeah, it needed a bit of color correction, but I actually really enjoyed it. Just something about it reminded me of what's it called? You ever seen Black Hawk Down?
Not in years.
I think
I
of
think
it
that
as,
film early 2000s.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
of it as being like the medieval version of that. Then it's Last of the Starks at 5.5. The Bells at 6.0, which is disappointing because I actually really enjoyed the Battle of King's Landing. It's total bullshit, but at the same time, the actual fight was hilariously like violent. And then the Iron Throne, the final episode, 4.1, with the most ratings out of just about everything on the entire show.
Oh, that was another plot point that got spoiled for me. Who takes the Iron Throne? Like, okay.
Bran the wheelie legs no feelie.
Bran the Legless.
That makes me laugh so hard, that fucking meme. Just like, for some reason, Tyrion just decides to just lay into the kid who he wants to name king. He's like, "I'm gonna just pick on this disabled kid for like 5 minutes." It's the funniest fucking thing.
Well, I can remember that does sound like what he would do, but he became less of an abrasive character and more of a very empathic character. Empathetic.
He was learning a little bit, he was getting there, but also they just took his wit away. Like, he would spend, in season 1, he'd roast characters, and it'd be the most savage thing you've seen in ages. And then all of a sudden, in like season 7 or 8, his writing just became like, haha, Varys has no dick. There's several scenes where like his insult to Varys is, yeah, you have no dick. Like, yeah, that's the point of his character. We all know. Where's the zinger? Where's the punchline?
Yeah, Game of Thrones isn't to say I'm in a rush to get back to. There's certain series that I want to go back and watch again, like Sons of Anarchy. I want to go back and watch that, even though I know it's going to be fucking tough to get through because there's some belters in there. I'll tell you that. I kind of want to go back and watch Daredevil, the Netflix shows if they're still up. I think they got taken down, so if they pop up on Disney Plus, I'll give them a watch. I want to go back and watch the old Disney cartoon Gargoyles. But yeah, Game of Thrones is just not one that I'm going to go back to anytime soon. The spin-offs, if they get made, the movies, if they get made, I'll probably give them a miss.
Actually, when you type in Game of Thrones into Google, one of the top questions is, will there be a season 9 of Game of Thrones? No.
Maybe, no.
Don't think so. Maybe a prequel. I know there's talk of a prequel, but I don't think that will actually happen. I see it fizzling out before we get there.
Yeah, I think the hype for Game of Thrones kind of died, and maybe any hope of a spin-off just fizzled away. And plus, the guys that wrote Game of Thrones, they're now doing Star Wars things.
Yeah, they are some of the most hated people on the internet. And the reaction from fan bases once they heard that they were shifting over to Star Wars, the lid flipping went to a whole new level. Like, this was after episode 8.
That makes people think of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do well with Star Wars, but at this point, I don't know who can.
Yeah, without going back to the original filmmakers and the original writers, I don't think he can do much with Star Wars anymore. I think you just leave it to Dave Filoni, because he made Star Wars Rebels, which is a really good cartoon. Like, really, really well shot, really good storylines within there. And he made Clone Wars, which I haven't watched myself, but I've heard it's really good. And he's produced The Mandalorian, which him and Jon Favreau are just doing really, really fucking well with. And maybe George Lucas could maybe do something with it, but apart from that, I don't think there's anyone who could make a proper cohesive storyline with Star Wars right now.
It's weird that people keep having faith in George Lucas, despite the fact he made the original, like the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking back at the prequels and saying, "Oh, maybe like that's the Thanos meme. Like, maybe I treated you too harshly." I'm like, no, you treated it fairly. Prequels are bad.
It is as bad as you think.
It's not as good as you remember, and you don't remember it good.
Are you forgetting Jar Jar? You're really gonna forget Jar Jar like that?
Yeah, like you're going to forget the battle of what the hell was it? It's not Geonosis. Battle of Desert Planet. Then the lackluster Yoda and Count Dooku fight. You're really going to look at that and think, huh, maybe the prequels were good.
Oh my god, it's really hard to think. We talk about like great actors who've passed. Dude, Christopher Lee.
Yeah, he's the only person on this planet that can make me experience joy and fear by singing Christmas carols at me.
Where did he do that? Oh, was that
fucking great?
What's it?
Will chill you to your very bones.
Is that the name of the album, Charlemagne, or is that the band?
I think the band's called Charlemagne, but there's a Christmas death metal record that Christopher Lee put out. It might not be with the band Charlemagne, but it is out there. And his rendition of Silent Night is the definition of beautifully haunting, because he's got a good voice, but at the same time, you think that vampires or some shit are just going to come crashing through your door and eat you. It belies something sinister. And speaking of something that belies something sinister, I guess, forced segue aside, I kind of want to talk about new Mortal Kombat characters. I suppose DLC characters in general, because Dragon Ball FighterZ got a new DLC character that I kind of want to talk about. And the kind of base impressions I've got on that, because we don't get the new character for another 9 days, just over a week. So the main DLC character that I wanted to talk about was Robocop in Mortal Kombat 11.
Right, okay.
Which If you've played Mortal Kombat 11, it's a slow game with very slow characters.
So
And
RoboCop fits right in.
RoboCop fits right in, but that doesn't make it a fun game because Terminator plays very bad. Like, he's very slow. He can get destroyed very quickly by some of the other quicker Mortal Kombat characters that aren't guest characters, and it's just not fun. And I think RoboCop is going to be more of that, and it's going to be a rough one. But the fact that he's in the game is cool, and he's voiced by Peter Weller is really cool.
Oh, right, so they're doing the original character, not the remake, the weird glossy one.
They're not going to do the shiny plastic one. They're doing the actual RoboCop that shoots people in the dick. That might be his fatality. He just shoots them in the balls.
Oh, please let it be the fatality. I'd watch that on loop, non-stop.
The cool thing about his fatality is he brings in the Ed 209, the big kind of weird bipedal robot.
Oh, right,
Walker.
yeah, the really big one.
Yeah.
So, wait, how many, like, this is another character, like, from the non-Mortal Kombat or universe that's in this game now. Who are the non-Mortal Kombat characters in there right now?
I think you've got Joker, you've got Spawn, and Terminator, and RoboCop as well. I want to say, no, Hellboy was in Justice 2. So, you've got RoboCop, Spawn, Terminator, and the Joker. And from what I've heard, they all play like shit except the Joker, who's quite fun. Because he plays like a slightly faster Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah, you can't really make the Joker into a tank. The same way that most Mortal Kombat characters seem to be.
Yeah.
And they've always had like a weird association with like, the horror franchise. Because I remember like at one point, Jason Voorhees was in the mix for a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, that was in Mortal Kombat 10, and that was probably the best played Mortal Kombat game of the past few years. Because that had you could play as a Xenomorph from Alien, and you could play as the Predator, you could play as Leatherface, and you could play as Jason Voorhees. And apparently they were pretty good. I never played much of Mortal Kombat X because I've always been a Street Fighter kid, but I've been told that they're pretty good. Like, I'm not going to go out and buy Mortal Kombat X just to play it, purely because Mortal Kombat 11 left such a bad taste in my brain.
Yeah, you've been on like the warpath about this game from the start.
Yeah, just because I paid £80 for it, thinking I'm going to get into Mortal Kombat. This is going to be my entrance into the series, and it's not good. Like, I think I uninstalled it that day.
And it's a disappointment once it was in the tray. Great.
I put it into my Xbox, my PlayStation, installed it. I think I waited a while to install it. Played the story mode for about half an hour and just thought it's awful. It's fucking awful. If I hadn't used the season pass immediately like an idiot, I would have sold it that day.
Oh yeah, I was trying to remember why it cost you £80 because I remember you bought something else with season pass, wasn't it?
I bought I think it's called the Premium Edition. Yeah, the Premium Edition. And that came with the season pass and a couple of other DLC costumes that I haven't used. So if you're in the Central Belt Scotland area and you want a copy of Mortal Kombat 11, hit Gibberpish up on Twitter and I'll fucking send you it.
Free games, everybody, free games. That's what we're here about.
If you want it, Lance, our friend in Canada, if you want it, you can have it, dog.
We'll throw it really hard.
I'll frisbee it and it might get to Canada.
I actually had a DM from Lance recently on Twitter, and he wanted to recommend some music because we're also talking about the various bands that we were like, we need more music, and he wanted to recommend a lot of stuff from Clutch.
Oh, dude, I'm a huge fan of Clutch. I've seen them live at Download in 2009. Fucking outstanding band.
He made 4 recommendations. He wanted to recommend Electric Worry, X-Ray Visions, Fortunate Son, and Ghoul Wrangler. That actually might not be... That's not Clutch. No, it is Clutch. There it is. Yeah.
I know they did a remake of Fortunate Son, which is a really good song.
Yeah, just before I forget.
Electric Worry is a really good record as well.
So yeah, thanks Lance for the recommendations. If anyone else has any music recommendations, feel free to hit us up on Twitter as well. Or if you just want Dom's free game, just
I'll send you. I will fucking send you it. Did you want Mortal Kombat 11? You can have it. I tried to pawn it off from my neighbour last week.
Hey, you left this in the mail. Why is your video game? Shut up and take the mail.
I was taking my dog out for I need to be careful about saying the W word, but I took him out for a WALK last week, and I was sitting talking to him, just saying, so how are you getting on? He was like, not too bad, usual shit. I'm kind of running out of games to play, and I went, you're a Mortal Kombat fan, aren't you? Do you got a PlayStation? Man, not got a PlayStation. Shit. Do you know anybody that would like a copy of Mortal Kombat 11? And he went, nah man, they've all got it. Shite. Do you want it? I'll give you it. You can have it.
Please just take it away from me. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, it's collecting dust. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that I played it for half an hour and I uninstalled it. There's only one other game that I've done that quicker, quicker to, and that was Resident Evil Resistance. The game that came with Resident Evil 3. I played that for 10 minutes, and I thought, this game is awful. I waited in the lobby for what felt like an hour. Then 10 minutes into the game, I just thought, no, this is not worth it.
Resistance is the tacked-on multiplayer, isn't it?
Yep, uninstalled it from my Xbox after an hour and a half.
See, 10
minutes of gameplay, an hour and a bit of waiting and installing.
I looked into like someone else's podcast that was talking about that game, and they said it was basically like weird, unbalanced PvP. Like it was one player masterminding the horde, and then 4 players try to survive it, and then it would work eventually, but it was so unbalanced it was almost impossible for survivors to win.
Yeah, if you're the survivor, you cannot win because the mastermind just has tyrants and shit that it can send out, and it can send out overpowered zombies, and you are sitting there with a 2x4 with a bit of ether-soaked rag on the end of it that you've lit on fire, and you're expected to beat a 6 tyrant with a piece of wood that deals 100 damage a hit.
Yeah, it didn't sound like a good game, and if you have that type of like tacked on product, you can make it work, but it takes balancing, and I don't think that, you know, it's still Konami who does those, right?
Capcom.
Oh, Capcom. I don't think Capcom can really nail balance on like a non fighting game type of mechanic like that.
That's because it's a new subsidiary of Capcom called M2 Studios. They made Project Resistance, and I think they're tweaking it. But from what I've heard, due to the backlash, well, not quite the backlash, more the overwhelming disappointment in Resident Evil 3. Because Resident Evil 3 is a good game, but a lot of people were expecting more along the lines of the other Resident Evil 2 remake, which was just fucking outstanding. Resident Evil 3 was good, but not quite up on that standard. Due to that feedback, I've heard that Capcom are doing a director's cut of Resident Evil 3 with more in the game, more fleshed out areas, maybe having Carlos and Jill have separate paths in the game, like a whole top to bottom rework of the game. But
wow.
I don't know when that would come out.
Yeah.
If it even comes out, like I said, it's just a rumour at this point.
I mean, they've got all the assets. That's one thing that they have in their favour. But scripting events like that, that's like a year away at least.
Yeah, it'll probably come out next gen hardware, if at all. I'd love it to come out, because, like I said, 3 was good, but there were certain areas from the original that I wanted to see. Like I wanted to see the graveyard when you fought the giant gravedigger worm thing, because it's such a weird, misplaced boss fight from the original game that it's synonymous with the original. I wanted to see more of Nemesis before he mutates, because it seems like you get put into the game, you fight Nemesis, and about an hour later he mutates. Whereas in the first game, it's a slow burn. Like you meet him a couple of times, you interact with him a couple of times, you fight him, and then you see him, like his clothes, the limiter jacket he's got is a bit ripped, and you see him, next time you meet him, he's got like a giant mutated hand or something, but he's still the imposing Nemesis form. He's not this weird wolf form or quadruped form that they put him in the remake. So I would have liked to have seen more, but I know for a fact Capcom are wanting to move on and do other things, so I can't really see this being true, but I'd appreciate it if it was.
Actually, speaking of next-gen hardware, just before we went online, Jeff Keighley, one of the like prominent figures in gaming, teased or posted up a video of like what Unreal Engine 5 is going to look like.
Yeah, the amount of people that assumed that this was a real game, fucking hilarious. Like, it's a tech demo.
Yeah.
Don't get excited.
And like, for what it's worth, it is a gorgeous tech demo. I am suitably impressed, but I always keep in the back of your head, this is a tailored, finished product that was designed to look good.
Yeah, this is designed. It's like when you go into Carphone PC World, or you go into Curry's or something, or whatever, some big electronics retailer, and you see the 4K TVs, like cranked up to 11. They're showing a specialized Blu-ray that's meant to show every single like different color and ultra high definition. Like, you're never going to get that same quality when you go home and you plug in your 4K TV and you start playing standard definition television. You're going to get weird washed out colors.
Yeah,
that's what tech are for other video games. It's just, let's make it look as shiny as possible so people will buy it.
Yeah, there's an art form that goes into making those like ultra like 4K really bright vibrant videos, and like, it's, if you've ever watched enough of the slow-mo guys and their behind the scenes stuff, you'll realize how much lighting and extra like work is put into making stuff look that good. I don't know if you watched their video about the glitter that they used. They wanted to try and push YouTube as far as they could, and then just dropped glitter and had like massive amounts of glitter falling in slow motion.
As the uncle of a 7-year-old girl, glitter gives me anxiety, so I didn't watch it.
It's something else.
I mean, it looked cool, but I can't watch glitter without, feeling that it's on me somewhere.
There's just a feeling in the spine, just oh.
Yeah, like I spent a week washing glitter out of my beard when my niece just threw a handful at me 2 years ago. Literally, she just went, "Uncle Dom, what's this?" And I just had green and red and pink glitter strewn through my beard, and I just had to keep shaking it and scratching.
Your niece is a pain in the ass. I'm just going to come out right and say it.
Yeah, dude, like, it's one of those things where, like, I would do the same to someone, so I couldn't really punish her for it. I was just like, it was funny. I appreciated the funny side. But no, like, that's one of the things I miss about lockdown. Like, because I used to babysit my niece quite a lot, and like not being able to hang out with her, like do dumb shit, like just say, "Hey Lily, go and punch your dad in the nuts" or something. It's a little bit difficult, but I know for a fact if she's at home, she's safe. So it's good on that account. Plus, she's watching a lot of really, really good old cartoons. Like, she's watching the original DuckTales, and she's watching. She watched Gravity Falls. I think my older brother is trying to get her into Ed, Edd and Eddy, but that's a slow burn. You need to trickle that down to a young child.
That's without being weird, that's a guy's show though. That is like a dumb boy show, like where they just run around having dumb boy adventures. It might be a hard sell to a little girl.
Yeah, but she's a strange child.
she'll love Ed as we all do.
Yeah, she probably will. Or Rolf. I can see her loving Rolf. Yeah, she'll get in it. I guarantee that.
The edits of Rolf into Dragon Ball Z are the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's because Peter Kalamis used to voice Goku in the original Canadian dub of Dragon Ball. So
the idea of a Canadian dub of Dragon Ball has sent my mind racing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's great, I'll tell you. Because that's where it started off with it went Big Blue dubs, then it went 4Kids, then it went Funimation. At least I think it was Big Blue. Whatever it was. But yeah, it was originally, it went Canada, 4Kids, I think they are somewhere in America, then it went Texas to Funimation.
Yeah, and the voice changes are very noticeable.
Yeah.
I actually was looking into like the rating for Dragon Ball overall as a franchise. Dragon Ball original is like 350 out of the thousands of anime that have been made. So it's like top 350 of all time. Dragon Ball Z is just in the top 300. Dragon Ball Super is like 1,500. Apparently people just do not enjoy the new stuff from Dragon Ball Z.
I can kind of see why the people that were really interested in Dragon Ball Super probably watched it in the original subbed quality, which was awful. I'm so glad that when I started watching Dragon Ball Super, I skipped the Battle of Gods arc and I skipped the Resurrection F arc. Because I've got the Blu-rays. Why would I watch them in lesser quality?
Yeah.
So I just skipped straight to the Universe 6-7 tournament. And I was like, oh, okay, they picked up the quality. It's still a bit shaky, but it's pretty good. But then I went back and rewatched it for the English dub, and they've cleaned it way the fuck up.
Yes.
Looks pretty damn good, man.
So yeah, a lot of people probably dropped out, and it's just been review bombed by a pretty bad start to the show.
Yeah. Then again, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, Dragon Ball fans mainly, were not looking forward to Dragon Ball Super because of Dragon Ball GT, that thing that we all wish never happened. And
That thing that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But that kind of spoiled a lot of people for Super because they just thought, well, it's going to be a new GT or it's going to continue after GT. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But then when they said it was going back to
erase most of history, yes.
Yeah, they're just going to wipe out that timeline and start a new one. I don't know. A lot of people just thought maybe Dragon Ball's had its time and they'd moved on to other anime. Because a lot of people that I know who were huge Dragon Ball fans back in the day now actively avoid Dragon Ball and now look towards shows like Naruto and newer anime for their fight shows. And I just thought, well, why would you go there when you've got Dragon Ball right there?
Yeah,
there's a reason.
It's the OG though, but I think you got to realize that everyone has iterated on Dragon Ball to make better shows now.
I mean, you don't get Naruto without Dragon Ball because Naruto's design is literally based on Super Saiyan Goku, and Sasuke is quite literally based on Vegeta in every sense of the word. Just not as good in my opinion.
Speaking of Dragon Ball Z, you said there was a fighter that got added to the Fighterz roster.
Yeah, they added in yet another Goku.
Oh god damn it!
They added in the Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, which I challenge you to say 6 times while holding ice in your mouth, because I guarantee you can't. I don't know why I said holding ice in your mouth. I should have said while drunk. I'm in a weird mood, man. Isolation's getting to me. But yeah.
I devise weirdly complicated problems for people to solve.
Yeah. It's getting weird, man. The sooner we get out for more than an hour, the better. But yeah, Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku got added into the game, and from what I've heard, people are already comparing him to Virgil from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And for those of you who don't know who that is, that's what you call a game-breaking character. Virgil literally destroyed Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3's competitive scene because Virgil was such a fucking good character who could just do everything. He was massively utilised, and he had so many tools in his toolkit that the right character could destroy your entire 3-person team using just Virgil. And from what I've heard about Ultra Instinct Goku is he's more of the same with that, because he can dodge, he can literally sidestep attacks, and he can just do like quick setup combos. And because most of his combos, there'll be an initial punch, then Goku will jump away, then you start taking damage. You can set up some mad stun lock combos. So from what I've heard, Ultra Instinct Goku, cool that he's in the game, but he might be breaking the game.
It sounds like they tried to actually put him from the anime into the game and then realised, oh wait, no, like this is supposed to be broken.
Yeah, and it works. They put in Ultra Instinct Goku and he broke the game. He just completely fucked the game.
I just can't believe you keep going back to more and more Gokus when there's so many good characters in Super that you could take out of there.
Yeah. I wanted more. Like, I want Whis in the game. I want Whis as a playable character.
Look, you can't complain about stuff being overpowered and then say, I think we should get Whis in here.
I'm not complaining about it being overpowered. Like, I've probably never played the game competitively. I'll only play it when people come around to play it to my house, or if I ever decide to, find someone that I play games with on the regular and say, dude, jump on Dragon Ball for a bit. I'm never going to play randoms online. But no, I kind of want I want Whis to be in the game, Shitty to be in the game. I would also like.
Wait, you cut it there. You want Whis to be in the game. You want Master Roshi? Did you say?
Yeah, Master Roshi.
Master Roshi.
There was something else that I was just thinking. They'd be cool if they were in the game, but just purely for my own satisfaction in the game. I think it was something like Android 13. I want him in his trucker hat to be in the game.
Oh yeah.
Because after rewatching some of the Dragon Ball movies online through completely legitimate means, there's not that many good Dragon Ball movies. I think Android 13 and some of the cooler movies might be the only good ones.
The cooler movies are pretty good. I just prefer the Team 4-star version of just about every movie, though.
Yeah. Oh, have you watched the Broly movies anytime recently?
As in the actual the proper the Dragon Ball version, not like the Team 4-star versions.
Either. I suppose the original dubbed Dragon Ball version, not the Team 4-star version.
I watched them not that long ago. I think I watched it before we watched the Broly movie itself, so it would have been within the last 18 months to 2 years, yeah.
The first one is watchable.
First one's
It's
good.
okay.
I like it. Second one
The second one
was...
is brain dead.
Second one's
Second
okay
one's
for the
bad.
father-son Kamehameha.
Yeah, the second one is only good at the end of it when they do the family Kamehameha with Goku and Gohan.
Yes.
But it's still such a bad movie. Like,
They're all bad. Remember, we're talking about a guy whose special thing is he just punches people. There's no like politics, there's no debating, there's no philosophy. It's just, I will scream and punch you in the face. And then you will scream and punch me in the face, and the last man standing wins.
Then there's Bio Broly, and we won't talk about that.
Didn't happen.
It makes me so glad that we have Dragon Ball Super Broly, because that movie is just like chef's kiss insolence.
Ooh, yes.
Excellent. Such a good movie.
Actually, talk about like screaming and slapping people. I watched Joe Rogan put out a clip of like slap fights, like professional slap fights. Holy shit!
Yeah, that shit is brutal.
It was so funny. There was like a guy who's like all tattooed up. He looks kind of like blonde Skrillex, and he steps up to a big man and slaps him. And I think there should be a rule in professional slap fighting that if you slap someone as hard as you can and their head doesn't move, you could just bow out. You can just say, "No, my bad. I thought I had this. You clearly are something fucking else."
Yeah, I think I've seen that. And the guy whose hand is about the size of the other dude's head just fucking belts someone right across the face.
Hey, they moved the table. The guy falls back but has his hand still on the table, and you see the table move. Oh,
It's insane.
It's not quality content. It's not a sport. It's not something I ever want to see. And if I ever see somebody like say, "Hey, I'm gonna start slap fighting," I'm like, dude, just no. Like MMA is the thing.
Not. Back that shit in.
That would be an interesting way to solve MMA fights if it comes down to a complete draw, just a slap fight in the middle of the ring.
It would be funny to see, like full grown MMA fighters. Like you just see, like GSP against like Cowboy Cerrone just slapping the shit at each other to finish a fight.
There's a story about a guy who interviewed a professional like WWE wrestler back in the late 80s and 90s, who obviously during the interview says, "Wrestling's fake, right?" At that point, the wrestler decides to just like lift his hand and clap the boy over the side of the head. He hit him exactly like the palm of the hand hit him in the ear and ruptured his ear. And which the wrestler said, "Does that seem fake to you?" Like, holy, like, there's something about the slap that you can get off, like, with the meat of the hand. It's not a good way to, like, end a fight. And I can't remember who that guy was. I'm trying to remember who it was that was in the interview, because I'm pretty sure he was then blacklisted and then basically shut down for a while, because he assaulted a reporter.
Yeah, I can imagine that. If you hit someone's head so hard that their eardrum ruptures, yeah, you deserve all that's coming to you, man.
I actually, speaking of deserving what's coming to you, there are some lawsuits flying around in the video game universe, and this was a weird one. It's a guy called Billy Mitchell, known as the King of Kong. He is responsible for a couple of video game records. He has the highest scores on like the original Donkey Kong like arcade cabinets. I think he had it on Donkey Kong Jr. as well, but he also has one for Pacman, and like he just holds these world records. But a lot of people think that he has faked some results, like he hasn't been entirely true about what's been said and done to attain these records. And basically, Billy Mitchell is saying that everyone who's accusing him of faking this has committed defamation. So he's now suing 4 different people, including the people who host the records. I think it's called Twin Galaxies. He's now suing those people for defamation and is roughly looking for about 13 million in damages. It's interesting.
All from a defamation suit?
Yeah. It's basically, the idea is that Billy Mitchell has spent an entire career since the late 80s and early 90s developing himself as the greatest gamer of all time, which he apparently has been given a plaque from the guys who made like Pacman. I don't know if you the Pacman world's record is over 3 million points.
Yeah, then the game just stops playing itself. Like if you get to 3 million points, the game literally becomes unplayable.
Yeah, like half the screen is just covered in like random garbage text, and the game is unplayable. And to get that far, you're basically overloading the actual system. and it takes 5 hours of gameplay. And the note I found was that to get to that level of points, you need to get every dot, every fruit, and every ghost on 250 screens. And like I said, it takes 6 hours of gameplay, perfect, to get to this point. And apparently, Billy Mitchell had this record. He was one of the first people to do it. There's disputes over who was actually the first, and then there was disputes over Billy Mitchell's record. Like his actual taping of it is a bit iffy. And there's a lot of complaints about him using simulators, which isn't supposed to be allowed under the organisation Twin Galaxies. But he's now suing everyone involved in the defamation, including a guy called Apollo Legend, whose videos on the issue are now like 5 million hits per video. If you type in King of Kong into YouTube, you get a movie recommended to you called The King of Kong, which is about Billy Mitchell and a bunch of other people going for these like great records in gaming history. And then you get like the Apollo videos coming up afterwards, Apollo Legend videos, explaining that he's basically lying and that he's faked information, he's faked data, he's spliced together some YouTube videos, like the videos he sent into people, and that he basically has been defrauding gaming for years.
And how many people is he suing?
It was 4. So he's suing Apollo Legend, he's suing the organisation Twin Galaxies, he's suing a former owner of Twin Galaxies, and he's suing someone else who's making similar claims about him faking these results.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I mean, his chances of success aren't great, I'm going to say, because the whole point of a defamation suit in any legal system is trying to prove that someone else's statements were untrue, and because of them being untrue, it's likely to lower your reputation in the eyes of other people. I'm not sure that he's got much of a reputation to tarnish.
Yeah. And the thing is, Apollo Legend provides some information and evidence in his videos for the accusation against Billy Mitchell, but I think the argument is going to be back and forth on whether or not the evidence presented is true, and then it comes down to a lot of like just kind of legal technicalities that will just be an absolute delight to sort through.
Yeah, although I don't know if it's this is in America, right?
Yes, one of the lawsuits is taking place in Florida because that's where some of the parties are, and then I think the other 3 are taking place in California.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same in Florida and California under their law, but in Scotland it becomes the point of the defendant, who would be this Billy Mitchell dude, to prove that all the evidence that's piled against him is false. So it'd be a lot of work for him to draw information from 4 different sources and then say that all 4 statements that are made are completely untrue. He would then have to go and prove just a shit ton of, go through different threads.
Yeah.
Probably going to cost him several $1,000s.
Yeah, well, the prices are weird. Well, actually, in a twist, Apollo Legend is now spearheading a counter lawsuit. So Billy Mitchell's suing 4 people involved. Apollo Legend is one of those people. He is then going to file his own lawsuit for defamation against Billy Mitchell, because Billy Mitchell is now publicly accusing him of lying. So they're basically going to fire back lawsuits at each other, and the price cost this. I mean, this Apollo Legend guy has he's contacted a lawyer and said how much for you to take this case. He somehow walked away with a figure of 10 grand. 10 grand is not going to get you through the door for this type of case.
10 grand for a defamation suit, that'd probably be 10 grand per interaction, because that's... Nah, something doesn't seem kosher about that one.
The amount of digging they're going to have to do to get to this is going to be horrific. The amount of information you have to find, everyone who's involved. I think Apollo Legend is accusing Billy Mitchell of faking an email. So they now need to subpoena Hotmail or Google or Gmail or something like that to get the original emails to prove that it was fake. So they need a verifiable version of that. The amount of effort that's going to go into that subpoena alone is going to make it unreal. But interestingly enough, he put up a Kickstarter for the legal funds, and he asked for the 10k. He got 27 grand in 3 days. I don't know who Billy Mitchell really is, but he has pissed off a lot of people. If you can, out of spite, fund 27 grand of legal fees in 3 days.
Yeah, that guy's got to be some kind of dick, like some kind of real asshole in the gaming world.
You should see some interviews with him. I think the harshest comment I've seen might be he looks like the knockoff version of Keanu Reeves.
Oh shit!
And you're like, dude, that was harsh. Because you look at it, you go, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's always weird when you look at someone and think, oh, that is true. Like I was watching a JonTron video, his latest video yesterday. I was sitting watching it with my brother, and it was a weird, like JonTron's whole thing behind his channel is he takes like weird old TV shows and weird old games, and he kind of does a little deep dive into it.
Mm-hmm.
Takes the piss out of it. There's a lot of parody in it, and he was doing this show. I think it was called Kid Nation, and one of the kids in there, I just said randomly in passing, do you not think that girl looks a little bit like Macaulay Culkin in a wig? And then that was it for the rest of the video. It's just like, there's Macaulay Culkin in a Wendy's wig.
I watched that video as well last night. It's really fucking good. Although I will say my favourite of the JonTron videos, other than the flex tape ones are fantastic. Flex tape and flex seal are great.
Yeah, tell you putting some manners on that one.
And the other one was the Dan Aykroyd Crystal Head vodka.
Yeah, I make sure and watch the Dan Aykroyd Crystal Head vodka episode just every couple of weeks because it's fucking great.
Just when he busts out the bell and just starts rattling it around and goes 4 minutes and 32 seconds, 4 minutes and 32 seconds in this commercial about vodka until this man finally talked about vodka. And I'm like, that is the funniest fucking thing I ever. It's so out of nowhere. Just start rattling a bell around and start screaming about the pacing of a commercial about vodka.
Like, another good part of that is just, like, you can't say all these fancy words and all these like out of this world concepts and then just say, well, why did we do this? Like, those things don't connect.
It's I enjoy the clip of Larry King taking shots of vodka and just not handling it well. Like, that guy is not okay to be just downing vodka as much as he possibly can.
The start of the ruination.
So I'll be keeping an eye on the Billy Mitchell thing. It's a total mess, and I think it's gonna get bogged down for a bit, and I think everyone's gonna just get their ass handed to them by a judge who's gonna say, you people sort of shit out. I think it all comes down to whether or not Billy Mitchell has the will to follow through on a lawsuit that is gonna take, I'd say, a couple years to finish. Seeing it all the way through.
With defamation or actions of defamation, they don't always end with compensation. More often than not, they end with just or publicly apologise for the misinformation. That's it.
Yeah, retract your statements, issue an official apology, and pay my legal fees.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you'd be lucky if you get $30,000 out of this, unless it's been shown that you have been like put out of work, you've lost money, you've done this, you've done that. Yeah, I can't imagine him getting what he wants out of this.
I think it was the HDH3 case against Matt Hoss. There was a guy trying to sue HDH3 Productions for a video they made. His one of his like things he wanted at the victory was that they would put an apology video on their YouTube channel and have it be the top like pinned video, the channel intro for the next 3 years.
Yeah, they lost that case hard though. HDH3 took that guy at the bank.
Oh yes, Matt Hoss got his ass handed to him, quite rightly so, for basically not understanding fair use.
Yeah, and that kind of that case ended up with a hefty settlement for HDH3.
Yeah, they did all right out of it.
Like another fucking debacle where he set up the Fair Use Protection Alliance or something. Fair Use Protect.
He made it purely to spell out the word FUPA. That is hilarious. Yeah.
Some Indian dude on YouTube was having a go at him saying, like, you took money out of the FUPA fund and used it to buy your $10 million mansion. I was like, dude, this isn't going to end well. H3 takes people down for fun.
Yeah. Especially when you remember, they are not just a YouTube channel, they're a clothing brand, there are, like, there's the actual sponsorships they have from the podcast, like, they have a steady income outside of just stealing money from a protection agency they set up.
Yeah, which I think is still ongoing and is still being used for certain things, but not many people are going after the fair use angle anymore. So,
Although there was an interesting one with, do you know Sargon of Akkad?
I know the name.
Kind
as
of
in
an
one-
asshole. He's he's a YouTuber, political type of guy. He is actually part of UKIP, or he was, I think. I don't know if he's still there, but
Okay.
he has done some weird shit in his career, and I don't actually like the guy. But I was aware of the fact he got involved in the fair use argument with Aquila, obviously, who is a YouTuber, and Aquila posted a video about, I think it was like Hillary Clinton losing the election. I went on like a 20-minute rant. Sargon of Akkad cut out 4 random chunks of the video, put it into his own video, and then like it was just those clips. There was no commentary, there was no nothing. But he managed to post that on his own YouTube channel with a new title and the 4 random clips out of context to create a new video, and that was deemed fair use. Which is interesting because it shifts the bar like way closer to like being easier to pass on fair use than it had been previously by a long margin. Like I think it is fair use to take the clips out of context and then edit them in a new way and present them under a new title. You could argue that, and it has been argued in court, and they won. So I can see that there is the argument there, but that is the least amount of effort I could consider for fair use.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like they shifted the goalposts on that one, but that's the thing with laws. Like, particularly if you look at the new hate crime bill that's going through the Scottish Parliament right now, they've intentionally left it. A lot of people have been saying it's a bit too vague, but I think they've intentionally left it vague so it can be easily malleable to certain situations, which is a bit of a weird aspect of Scots law. But if you read the actual sort of preamble for that, it's removed the law, or it's removed the crime of blasphemy, essentially, so you can say whatever the hell you want about religion, it's not a crime. They actually look for more definitive crimes, such as, owning racially insensitive or hate crime inciting materials, that kind of thing. So it's definitely, it's weird to see them using fair use in that kind of way.
Yeah, I think that, because I remember texting you about that, and I think they've left it very vague and very broad, so that when they take steps to like shrink the focus down, like they make it a bit more targeted, like what the final bill will actually be once it's all argued out in the Parliament. I think that like they've kind of like a negotiating tactic. Like if I want 5 million quid and I'm negotiating with you, I'll say I want £7 million, knowing that I can then drop it down to 5, which is my end goal.
And it's still in the hate crime bill. It's still in its first stage, so it's still got back and forth. Then second stage, then amendments, then more back and forth. So it's going to be at least a year or two before that actually comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think it needs a couple more drafts, because I read it and I was like, that's real open ended. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of needs to be though, because if you've gotten most of what can be considered a hate crime is kind of open to interpretation. So you'd need to be able to bend it slightly to see, like, if what is hate crime to say a Nigerian Catholic as opposed to a Norwegian Jehovah's Witness. Like, you need to be able to change the.
I just wanted to know what you were going to say there. I needed to know. I was like, I can't interrupt him. I need to know what he comes up with. Norwegian Jehovah's Witness it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think we found the episode title as well.
Norwegian Jehovah's Witness. Hell, I'd pay attention if they were from Norway. Yeah, it's a weird fact of law that it's always been left slightly open to interpretation, not just for judges and their judicial interpretations, but more for if they give it steadfast defined rules, people will find ways around those steadfast defined rules.
Yeah, and I think as you say,
people will just dig under it because you've left it in one key location. There's ways around it.
Yeah, once you've started to once you start to draw a line, people will immediately push themselves right up to the limit of that line.
Yeah, people will have their heels up against the line, but not actually over the line.
Doesn't count. I'm not touching this side. And you're like, God damn it!
I will put you in jail, asshole.
Give me a reason, please. We'll find out how that goes. I think we're ready for the showstopper.
Indeed, we are. Do you want to take this one, or can I? Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like this one.
Yeah, I'll let you go for it because I can't find a way to talk about it without getting really, really mad.
I kind of think I think it's quite a unique story. It could only happen in this time, but I mean, right now, the worst thing that we as regular people are having to deal with is the C virus, the coronavirus. No one wants to catch it. People are staying indoors to get away from it, unless you're in prison, where prisoners in America are actively trying to catch coronavirus so that they can be released from prison. The fuck?
Yeah, it's a weird one because this is like prison populations are massive risk for COVID-19 because they are in close proximity. They're sharing the same air that's passed around between everyone in close quarters. There's people living in the same room right now for their like 23 hours a day. Once coronavirus hits a prison population, it will explode. So the idea that someone would actively try and make it happen. I mean, you can see the video. I've actually got it pulled up on Sky News, who are a UK news agency, and the video is a bunch of people standing in a circle, passing around a water bottle that a person who has COVID symptoms has coughed into, and they're passing it around like they've mixed the water and what they hope is the COVID viral units, and they're all taking swigs out of it in a circle, and it's fascinating to think that this is what it's come to in certain places.
My news source wasn't as official as yours. I got this from Philly D.
It's the same footage, and I saw the Philip DeFranco coverage as well.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because they have actually evacuated some prisoners from certain low-risk facilities. Right now, there is a rapper called Tekashi 6ix9ine who was basically put out on house arrest because it's better in some cases to get the prisoners out, reduce the population within a prison, spread people out using like one cell to try and spread people out and reduce the impact. But they have released certain people on house arrest, and we actually did some Googling before this. I thought that Bill Cosby was out for some reason.
Yeah, he wasn't getting out.
He is never getting out.
He's getting out. It's him and Weinstein sharing a cell right now.
And we're not making the joke we made in the pre-show.
I can't remember it. Probably had something to do with the Zimmer frame.
No, it was not. There's.
I can't remember it, so we're safe.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys in this prison in this video, and there's like about 20 people all in a kind of cafeteria room or like a break room or whatever it is. I've never been inside of a prison, so I don't know. But they're all sharing the same space, and I think there's some talk about them coughing on each other as well.
I mean, I'd love to see the conversation when people are like, "Hey, dude, you're breaking people out of prison. What are you going to do? You're going to dig us out? You're going to cut a hole in the fence and we're going to just walk out to freedom?" No, dog. Here's the plan. I'll cough on you, you cough on me, then we just don't wash our hands. Foolproof.
I just can't wait for this version of The Longest Yard. It's going to suck so much.
Jesus. It can't be much worse than the Adam Sandler version.
Hey, that brought us Joey Diaz, alright?
Joey Diaz was in Spider-Man 2 long before The Longest Yard.
Is The Longest Yard before or after Spider-Man 2?
I think it was well after Spider-Man 2.
Oh well, we'll find out soon.
Yeah, we'll find out soon.
In the meantime, if you'd like to correct us on our Joey Diaz trivia, or if you'd like to recommend us some more music, you can tweet us at Gibberpish, or you can email the podcast at gibberpishpodcast@gmail.com. And I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Dom Anderson.
And we've been talking Gibberpish.